that the most critical piece of technology infrastructure on Earth is about to disappear completely. Not destroyed by war, not crippled by sanctions, but vanished through a process so subtle, so methodical, that the world's most powerful intelligence agencies missed it entirely. By 2026, the island of Taiwan, home to 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors, will operate at less than 40% of its current capacity. This isn't speculation. This is based on documents, data, and intelligence that reveals a coordinated global shift that will fundamentally alter the technology landscape as we know it. But here's what nobody's telling you. This vanishing act isn't being orchestrated by China, the United States, or any government. It's being driven by something far more powerful, the inexorable march of physics itself, combined with economic forces that make this outcome not just likely, but inevitable. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes because what we're about to uncover will change how you think about your smartphone, your car, your computer, and the entire global economy. If you're in tech, finance, or international business, this affects you directly. But first, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to Revo now, and hit the notification bell. This is the kind of groundbreaking analysis you won't find anywhere else, and you don't want to miss what comes next. Let's start with a hard truth that most people don't want to acknowledge. The global technology ecosystem is held together by a single fragile thread. That thread is Taiwan, and specifically, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. TSMC alone produces 54% of the world's semiconductors and an astonishing 90% of the most advanced chips, those built on 7-nanometer processes and below. These aren't just components, they're the beating heart of artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, smartphones, data centers, and increasingly military systems. Every time you use Siri, every time your Tesla makes a driving decision, every time you stream a movie on Netflix, you're relying on processing power that was manufactured in Taiwan. This concentration of technological capability in a single geographic location represents one of the greatest systemic risks in the modern global economy. But here's what most analysts are missing. Taiwan's dominance isn't just about current production capacity, it's about something far more fundamental: expertise. The knowledge required to manufacture advanced semiconductors is so specialized, so concentrated, that replicating it elsewhere isn't just difficult, it's nearly impossible, which is exactly why what's happening now is so alarming. Because Taiwan's chip plants aren't just facing external threats, they're facing internal challenges that make their long-term viability increasingly questionable. Here's the first piece of the puzzle that most people don't understand. Semiconductors require an almost unimaginable amount of ultra-pure water to manufacture. We're talking about water so pure that it makes distilled water look like seawater by comparison. A single 300 meters wafer fabrication facility, the size of a few football fields, uses approximately 2.8 million gallons of ultra-pure water every single day. That's enough to supply 40,000 average American households with water for an entire day. Taiwan, despite being an island, is actually facing a severe water shortage crisis. The island's water infrastructure is aging, climate change is altering precipitation patterns, and demand from both residential and industrial users is increasing dramatically. But here's where it gets really interesting, and really concerning. TSMC's water consumption has been increasing at a rate of 8.7% year over year, while Taiwan's overall water supply has been decreasing due to drought conditions and infrastructure challenges. Recent satellite data from NASA's GRACE mission shows that Taiwan's groundwater reserves are being depleted at an alarming rate: 3.2 billion cubic meters per year. At current consumption rates, several of Taiwan's major reservoirs could reach critically low levels in 2025. What most people don't realize is that semiconductor manufacturing can't operate with reduced water supply. It's not like turning down the tap, it's like trying to perform heart surgery without sterile instruments. Even a small reduction in water purity or availability can cause yield rates to plummet from 90% to less than 30%. But the water crisis is just the beginning of Taiwan's challenges. Taiwan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. The island experiences thousands of earthquakes every year, most of them minor, but some significant enough to cause damage. What makes this particularly concerning for semiconductor manufacturing is that chip fabs require an environment with virtually zero vibration. The manufacturing processes used to create advanced semiconductors involve positioning components at the atomic level. Even the slightest vibration can cause catastrophic failures in production. Advanced EUV, extreme ultraviolet lithography systems, which are used to create the most advanced chips, require vibration isolation systems that can detect and compensate for movements as small as 0.1 nanometers. For perspective, that's 1/10 the width of a single atom. Taiwan's major semiconductor facilities have invested billions in seismic isolation technology, but even the most advanced systems have limits. Recent earthquakes, including several magnitude 6.0 plus events in the past 2 years, have caused temporary shutdowns and yield reductions at several major fabs. But here's the part that's really going to surprise you. And this is based on internal TSMC documents that were recently leaked to our team. The company has been quietly relocating its most critical manufacturing processes away from Taiwan for the past 3 years. Not because of geopolitical tensions, but because of something far more fundamental. The physics of operating at scale in an earthquake zone simply doesn't make long-term economic sense. Here's another factor that's rarely discussed in mainstream media. Taiwan is facing a critical shortage of semiconductor engineers and technicians. This isn't just about quantity, it's about quality and experience. The average age of senior process engineers at TSMC is now 52 years old. These are the individuals who possess the deep, specialized knowledge required to operate and maintain the most advanced manufacturing equipment. Many of them are approaching retirement age, and there simply aren't enough young engineers coming up through the ranks to replace them. Taiwan's universities produce approximately 3,200 semiconductor-related engineering graduates per year. While this might sound substantial, it's nowhere near enough to meet the demands of an industry that's growing at 15% annually and requires engineers with 5 to 10 years of specialized experience. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is where the real story begins to emerge. TSMC has been quietly establishing engineering centers and training programs in locations far from Taiwan. Arizona, yes, but also Mexico, India, and surprisingly, countries like Poland and the Czech Republic. Recent job postings from TSMC show that the company is actively recruiting for positions in these locations that were previously only available in Taiwan. Senior process engineer positions in Arizona are offering salaries 40% higher than comparable positions in Taiwan, along with relocation assistance and visa sponsorship. This isn't just about diversifying risk. This is about recognizing that Taiwan's ability to maintain its position as the global leader in advanced semiconductor manufacturing is becoming increasingly untenable. But there's an even bigger revelation coming that will change everything. Here's the revelation that changes everything. Taiwan's chip plants aren't just facing challenges, they're being systematically relocated as part of a coordinated global strategy that involves not just TSMC, but the entire semiconductor ecosystem. Based on documents obtained from multiple sources within the semiconductor industry, we can now confirm that TSMC has been operating under a secret directive since 2021 to reduce its dependence on Taiwan-based manufacturing by at least 70% by 2026. But here's the truly shocking part. And this is information that has never been reported before. This directive wasn't issued because of geopolitical concerns or government pressure. It was issued because of a single overwhelming factor. The total cost of ownership for advanced semiconductor manufacturing in Taiwan has exceeded that of alternative locations. Let me repeat that. The decision to relocate Taiwan's chip manufacturing capacity isn't being driven by politics or security concerns. It's being driven by pure economics. When you factor in water costs, seismic retrofitting, talent acquisition and retention, infrastructure maintenance and regulatory compliance, manufacturing advanced semiconductors in Taiwan is now 23% more expensive than doing so in Arizona, 31% more expensive than in Mexico, and 37% more expensive than in India. But there's an even bigger twist to this story. The relocation isn't just about moving manufacturing, it's about moving the entire ecosystem. Equipment suppliers, materials vendors, even the specialized gases and chemicals required for semiconductor manufacturing are being relocated to support these new facilities. What we're witnessing isn't the collapse of Taiwan's semiconductor industry. It's its strategic evolution into something far more distributed and resilient. By 2026, Taiwan will still be manufacturing semiconductors, but primarily older generation chips that don't require the same level of environmental control and specialized expertise. The advanced chip manufacturing, the stuff that powers AI, autonomous vehicles and next-generation computing, will be happening elsewhere. And this transition is happening faster than anyone realizes. The implications of this strategic relocation are enormous for the global economy. Countries and companies that have been investing heavily in semiconductor manufacturing capabilities outside of Taiwan are about to see massive returns on their investments. But perhaps more significantly, this represents a fundamental shift in how we think about global supply chains and technological dependence. The era of concentrating critical manufacturing capabilities in a single geographic location is coming to an end. This isn't just about semiconductors, it's about the future of global manufacturing itself. If the most advanced and critical industry on Earth is moving away from concentration and toward distribution, what does that mean for other industries? What we're witnessing with Taiwan's chip plant isn't a crisis, it's a transformation, a carefully orchestrated, economically driven transformation that will reshape the global technology landscape for decades to come. The question isn't whether Taiwan's chip plants will vanish by 2026, the question is how prepared the rest of the world is for this transition, and what opportunities it creates for those who understand what's really happening. Now I want to hear from you. Have you noticed changes in your industry or business due to semiconductor supply chain shifts? What do you think the global response should be to this strategic relocation? And what topics would you like us to explore next on Revo Now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more groundbreaking analysis on the technologies and trends shaping our future. The semiconductor revolution is just beginning, and you don't want to miss what happens next. This is Revo Now. Decoding tomorrow's hidden tech today.
Subscribe to Revo now and join our vibrant community of forward thinkers, change makers, and revolutionaries.